I just made it back from Ireland, and lo and behold, there were two packages waiting for me, and I'm about to head right back out for work. I'm not going to be at home for more than 24 hours, so I figure I'm going to do a quick unboxing because it's going to be a while before I get some other videos up. But these are some that I think are going to be pretty interesting. It's a 2-for-1 in this case because I have two packages, but they are related. So I figure we'll open them up, take a look at what's inside. And certainly, I think these are going to be some of the more interesting things from my perspective because I've always kind of wanted this, and this isn't necessarily, again, always the medieval weapon range, although they are certainly related to swords and whatnot. So, first package. Of course, you can see based on the packaging that this is, in fact, from museum replicas. That is, again, they have good deals, and I can't help but to get a good deal on something. And when it adds to my collection, I will go ahead and purchase it. You know, a lot of people have been talking a lot, especially in the unboxing portions of my channel, about the quality of museum replicas, and really specifically windlass as a product, because they are kind of entry level. They aren't very expensive things. And I'll just go ahead and note that, yes, if given the choice, if I can only have one sword or one anything from any one company, it most certainly probably wouldn't be a windlass. However, as a collector, I get to get multiple swords. So here's what this one looks like so far. And because, as a collector, I always look for multiple things, I want to have a variety from different regions of the world. I want to have a variety of different time periods, which is why you see, a lot of windlass products that I pick up. It's not because I want all the nice, really European swords to be windlass products. I want the cheaper things that are representative of different cultures. I will tend to get them through some of the more inexpensive products. So here is the scabbard. I have a feeling it's going to be just like another windlass scabbard. And because windlass is so cheap and because they have a broad range, that's why you see a lot of their products. Because like this one, as you can see here as I'm unwrapping it, this is a Roman pugio, a dagger essentially, very, very similar in blade style to some extent with a gladius. And this is a very, very basic one. And actually, I wanted it because it was so basic, kind of just run-of-the-mill. But that's it. That's the first item. Very, very blade heavy. The wood on this handle is a little bit too light. And because there's nothing to kind of counterbalance or make the hilt portion of this dagger, this pugio, to be a little bit heavier, I can feel it kind of wanting just the blade weight on it. It's not as vital with a dagger as it would be with a sword, but it is worth noting, and it'll probably be worth noting when we open up this box as well. There it goes in the sheath, and the sheath is completely worthless. It's super loose. But there you go. That is the pugio. Now, back to what I was originally saying as I open up this box. So the reason I am picking up a lot of windlass products, the reason that I am not looking to spend, for example, with a pugio, it would be easy to spend for a really good high quality one, hundreds of dollars, $500, instead of 60 like I did with this, or roughly, I think it was about 60 for that one. I can get multiple swords, multiple daggers from a lot of different regions, a lot of different time periods, to be representative of the things that I'm interested in without it being a huge expense. And then when I really want the very nice swords that are really much more meaningful to me, such as getting a nice claymore, maybe I'll get a little bit better thing like the Hanwei claymore that I got. Again, not very high price, but very good product, and certainly not as cheap as $60 or something. And I will certainly, if I'm going for something that is highly important to me, I will go and spend the large amount of money, such as the Albion swords I got, like the Ringek or the Gallowglass or those type of things. And so the amount of money I am spending on a product in terms of adding to my collection is almost directly associated to how important that item really is to me, and I will certainly spend a lot more money on a thing that I care about. And you'll see that, when I got the Einar Viking style sword, Viking era sword, it was the same type of thing. I really wanted a nice one. I was willing to spend the extra money for it. That one didn't work out quite as well as I would have liked, but it's still a very, very nice sword in my opinion. And so ultimately, when people are asking, why are you spending so much money on cheap swords? That's the reason why. Because I don't want to spend $1,000 on like what I'm unwrapping here, which is actually very, very closely tied to what I just unwrapped. This is the Gladius. It's got a lot of oil on the blade, so I'm going to have to clean that off a lot. So there is the Gladius. And again, this is extremely blade heavy. Of course, it's a very short sword. It's not overly long, so you can kind of forgive that. I would certainly think adding a little bit of weight to the hilt in various forms would be very helpful, very beneficial to just kind of adding some balance to this. Of course, for the most part, the Gladius is a thrusting sword, although it can obviously be used for cutting as well. It would be a myth to say that you would only ever thrust with this thing. But it's also very basic. Probably one day I will have an entire kind of Roman legionnaire outfit that these would go along with. For the most part, the scabbard, which it came shipped in, which is a little bit weird, with all that grease on it, very, very loose yet again. It's not going to sit in there very well. So ultimately, this is a perfect example, though, of what I'm talking about, because I spent less than $100 on this Gladius, and I think it was around $50 to $60 for the Pugio, because of the deal of the day thing that Museum Replicas did. And I'm not as big into Roman era things. I certainly like it, but I'm not as enticed by the $1,000 or $2,000 version of a Gladius. I wouldn't go buy a Gladius from, say, Albion, because it's not as important to me as the medieval swords that I'd much rather have, and so it's good for me to get these cheaper versions that I can then add to my collection. They're perfectly functional. They're going to work exactly like I would need them to work. So I do like the functionality aspect, but I'm not as concerned about having the highest quality item. So ultimately, I hope that at least explains, while it's being entertaining to unbox these things, I hope that explains why I am buying the less expensive swords. And there's a whole tirade I could go on in terms of what's been talked about on my comment section as well, about buying reproduction swords in terms of like stock removal methods. So Albion, for example, uses a CNC machine, and people have talked about, why wouldn't you just hire a smith to do all this? It's kind of the same thing. An Albion maximum price is upwards of $2,000, but for the most part, most of their swords linger around the $800 to $1,000 mark. And to get a similar quality product, maybe even a little bit better, it could cost $2,000 to $3,000 from a reputable swordsmith. And at the same time, as I would love to have that, and I will certainly have that in the future, because there are some swordsmiths I absolutely want to own one of their swords, I can get multiple very, very good swords for a lot cheaper. So hope that explains it. Hope this was all interesting. Until next time, have a wonderful day.